to Real VC, a podcast all about Ventura County real estate. My name is Reed Fish. I am the CEO of Upmarket Media, and I am pretty excited about my co-host this week. It's Juliet Esquibias, who's a broker associate at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, California Properties. That's a mouthful, but guess what? There's more. She's also president of the Ventura County Coastal Association of Realtors. Juliet, what I've been hearing in the last week or two, it's all about insurance. Like, like some people, like, didn't some companies just like, I don't know anything about anything, but like State Farm, like, pulled out of California.
Yeah, they did. And State Farm, Allstate, Farmers, I think they're all kind of pulling out of California.
Pulling out of California for what, though?
Homeowners insurance, renters insurance.
That seems bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I think what it stems from is the insurance commissioner hasn't let rates get risen enough to actually cover the premiums that actually need to happen in order for, when we have natural disasters to cover those natural disasters. So it's pretty scary. We lost our home in the Thomas Fire in 2017, and we had State Farm insurance, and we were renting at the time. So we did have that renter's insurance, thank goodness. But
mine had lapsed during the fire.
Oh,
actually.
Great.
So that was great. I didn't lose my house, thankfully, but we were evacuated anyway. Yeah.
Well, so, basically, these insurance companies are pulling out for new policies. So if you have an existing policy, and I'm not the insurance expert,
sure,
but,
of course. Caveat.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you have a current policy, they're still, for right now, they're still, you're okay. You're still covered. Just don't miss a payment.
Right.
But for new policies, and it's pretty bad. I mean, they're even renters insurance
but what does that mean though for home buyers?
Well, home buyers will have to go through the California plan, which isn't a great insurance policy. I'm not really familiar with it, but I think it's expensive, and
because homeowners insurance is already expensive.
It
right?
is. Well, and I think that's the problem is it's not really expensive. Like, I'll give you an example. For a single family home yearly, maybe, $1,200 a year.
Oh, yeah.
So not that
Not
much, that much.
Yeah. $100 a month.
Yeah. We had a condo, and ours was like $65 a month or something.
Oh,
so
yeah. That's not that bad.
Not bad. Right.
Yeah.
So I think, with all the natural disasters that we've had and continue to have,
and more might be coming.
Yeah. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, of course.
We were speaking at one of our meetings recently, a networking meeting with a State Farm agent who said that all their data shows that we're going to have quite the wildfire season this year, even though it's actually it's like year round now. There's no season anymore.
Yeah. No, so exciting. But if you do buy a home right now and you need to have a policy, can you get insured?
So there are companies that are still insuring with new policies, but I think I think Geico was the first one to leave the state, and now State Farm and Allstate and Farmers, and I think a lot of them will follow suit just because it doesn't make financial sense for them.
But now, and again, I don't know anything about this. So, but don't you have to have homeowners insurance as part of your mortgage if you're,
Yeah. If you do get a loan and you have a mortgage, your lender is going to require that insurance. So if you can't
seems
find
like there's a problem there.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. It's definitely going to change some things here. Like I said, there are still insurance companies that are doing new policies and insuring people. And then there's the California plan, like I said, but
with the California plan, is that like a state thing?
It's a state. And caveat. As far as I know, it's a state run plan, and it's, like I said, probably not the greatest insurance, and it's probably very expensive. So,
but it's what you would have just so you can have your mortgage.
Right,
I mean, right. So.
Right. Especially in high fire areas. A lot of people, already have to use that plan just because of the fires.
Sure.
So, but they also said, the State Farm agent, also said that maybe at least with State Farm, they might insure, people on a case by case basis.
Oh,
so
okay.
if somebody wasn't in a flood zone or a high fire zone,
Right.
that maybe they could still write the policy, but that's something to be seen. We'll see if that actually
Well,
happens.
and it does sound like there is probably intense lobbying happening with the insurance commissioner, I would imagine, to be able to kind of move those rate caps.
Yes,
right?
I'm guessing that, there's a lot of lobbying going on from very many, a lot of different areas, a lot of different industries,
Right.
Including the California Association of Realtors. And, being the president of our association, that's kind of what we do. We have 17 board members at our association, and we have a travel team that goes to Sacramento and Washington, D.C., and we actually do lobby. The National Association of Realtors is actually the largest trade association in the country.
Yeah, there's a lot of realtors.
A lot of realtors. So when we go to Sacramento and Washington, our legislators really listen. So I know that there's going to be a lot of lobbying for
right, because
insurance.
I would feel like from the government's, from the state's perspective, that this is a problem. Yeah,
huge problem.
Yeah,
for sure. So I'm sure, like I said, there are a lot of people in our industry and other industries that are going to be fighting this really hard, because obviously I think we're the most populous state in California, and
we are.
We need insurance. And again, it's not just homeowners insurance, it's renters and. But the State Farm agent did say that she could still write a pet policy. Or something.
Well, I mean, there you go. So if your home burns down and your pet perishes, you get $600. Congratulations. So in real world, have you seen the ramifications of this yet with your clients, or how is this going to affect transactions?
Well, I thank goodness haven't had anybody not get insured at this point.
But it's only been a couple weeks. Since
right.
It's been
but I mean, in terms of, since we've had so many natural disasters and fires and things, I know some people have had a really hard time.
It's been tricky over the last couple of years.
But haven't seen anything with the new insurance companies pulling out. So we'll see. It's going to be an interesting, it'll be interesting to navigate through this whole thing and see where it ends up, because I really think that the state's going to have to do something. Our legislators are going to have to do something, and because, we just can't not be insured.
Yeah. Well, and if you to have the mortgage, you have to, you have to have insurance. It's just like, you have to, there's no, you can't not do it unless you buy cash, I guess.
Right. Exactly.
With cash, right? Which is actually, it's just, I hear all these cash buyers. I don't know, how does everyone have so much cash?
There's a lot of cash buyers. I remember when I started here in Ventura County almost, I don't know how many, 15, 16, 17 years ago. I don't remember. Wow. We didn't have as many cash buyers. I think it was like 3% of all transactions. And now it's like 30% or 33%.
Where are people getting all the money?
There's a lot of money out there. A lot of money.
Why don't I have more of it?
Do more of your podcast.
Yes.
And more of your media.
We're making amends here at the Real VC Pod. Well, hopefully we will. It's only our second episode.
That's
Come
right.
on, we got
That's right.
It's the slow build.
Well, and I listened to your first episode.
You
Congratulations.
did. Okay. Oh, thank you.
And Ignacio was great with Liv Sotheby's.
I love Ignacio.
Well, yeah, everybody does. And I hear he's trying to be the most liked realtor. We might need to include that award in our association award.
Yeah. Well, and you should, and give it to somebody else.
You'd be so disappointed.
Well, exactly. That would make me laugh so hard.
Oh, good.
Okay. So you have a lot going on. You have a busy real estate career, and then you're also the president of the board, or the board, the Ventura County Coastal Association of Realtors. Yeah. So what does that entail? Like, what does that even do? What do you, how are you helping? How are you, outside of like going to Sacramento and talking to legislators, how else are you helping the real estate community?
So our Ventura County Coastal Association of Realtors consists of Camarillo, Oxnard, Ventura, Port Hueneme, Simi Valley, Ojai. Actually, no, that's separate. Sorry. Yeah. Santa Paula, Fillmore. So we have over 2,000 members.
All right.
And so as the association, we're on the local level, and then we have the state association and the national association. So, we spend a lot of time making sometimes very difficult decisions for our members and how, members' money is being spent. And we have CRMLS is our MLS, and CRMLS, it's the California Regional MLS, where it's the largest MLS in the country, I think in the world. And so we were able to bring CRMLS on for our members several years ago, and it's been a great benefit for our members. So, we have to decide where money goes and how money is spent. And, we want to do the best, be the best stewards of our members' money. So,
well, and if you are a realtor, are you required to be a member of this?
If you are a realtor, which is the trademark, right? You are required to be a part of your local association and your state and your national association.
Okay.
We might need to check on that, but I think that's the way it goes.
Oh, I don't care.
It's so confusing.
As long as most of the information in this podcast is accurate, I'm fine.
Okay, good.
There's some fudging around the edges. It's fine. Okay, but can you be a realtor and not be? You
can have a real estate license and not be a realtor. Yeah, but realtors, we have a code of ethics that we have to abide by. I know. Well,
just kidding, realtors.
It's funny. It's funny that you laugh because actually that's one of the things that on the state and national level we're really looking at is the professionalism, because there are some bad apples out there.
I've seen them.
I know. Yeah. And, the standard of care that we need to give our clients, we think that we need to, raise that bar a little bit or a lot.
Oh,
so
right.
there's a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline. They just made a new mandatory decision that it's mandatory that you have to take ethics classes every 3 years. And
problem solved.
Right. Right. So, we're trying to do, I say we, on the state and national level, we're just trying to do more to be, make sure that our members are, acting appropriately. And
well, I mean, I think anyone realizes that the realtors don't necessarily have what's the word I'm looking for? The public sees realtors as probably on an individual level. Oh, I worked with this realtor and they're amazing. They're totally ethical. But then I think the general perception is maybe they're not the most ethical group of people, right? From the outside.
Well, and that's, it's funny that you bring that up. Actually, not funny, but there are several lawsuits going on throughout the country against realtors and our practices, and there's class action lawsuits going on because there is some belief that we're not worth our compensation, or that we take advantage of people. So there are definitely
sometimes people do. I mean, that's the problem. And with 100,000 realtors, or however many there are in the United States, I mean, or 200,000, there's going to be some.
There's 200,000, over 200,000 in the state.
In the state of California.
So
nationwide, we're looking at like a couple million.
There's I think 1.6 million, I think.
Yeah. So there's going to be some bad apples.
So basically what we're trying to do, on the national, state, and local level is really promote the realtor brand. And our realtor members, can go to competition.org. It's on the National Association of Realtors website. They created this website that has some really good information about how, as realtors, we can really talk about our value to our clients.
Right.
Because there's people think, well, why are you getting paid so much?
Right.
And you have to really be able to explain it to your clients. And, that's part of why those lawsuits are going on, is because, people don't understand how we get paid. And, some people think that, what am I trying to say? What am I trying to say, Reed, here?
I don't know what you're trying to say. Well, but people I think try to think that people are trying to take advantage. Realtors are trying to take advantage of homeowners. And I mean, isn't one of the lawsuits actually kind of about like the buyer's fees, like they're trying to outlaw, I've heard some crazy thing, like there's a class action lawsuit that is trying to, I don't know, basically do away with the 5% or whatever you guys get.
Well, and that's the thing that, there's really no standard of commission. Commissions are completely negotiable, but there's a perception out there that,
my perception is they're locked in at 5%.
Yeah, and they're not. They're absolutely negotiable. And I think that's what we need to do a better job doing, explaining to our clients, whatever commission rate you want to charge, that, you're explaining to your selling clients as well as your buyer clients. And what we're really trying to promote is using the buyer broker agreement. It's called the buyer representation agreement, in order to formalize our working relationships with our buyers and sellers, or with our buyers specifically, just to let them know what we're doing, how we're getting paid. Because I think a lot of the perception for a long time was that buyers agents, when you have a an agent working for you as a buyer, that you're working for free. Because the seller is actually, the buyer brings the money, but the seller actually pays the compensation. So there's a lot of confusion. So that's really, we're trying to make sure that our members and agents really know how to explain things to their clients, so that clients don't feel like they're being taken advantage of.
Well, but industry standard is like 5%, right?
No, there's no.
No, yeah, okay, but
we get into we can't.
Price fixing.
Yeah,
yes,
price fixing and all that. So
that's I'm not a realtor, so I can say that that's the number that I hear a lot.
Yeah.
So and I don't want to get anyone in trouble for price fixing.
Yeah, no,
this is going right to the feds.
I know.
This podcast.
No, it's all commissions are negotiable. So,
all right.
So there's a lot of lawsuits out there going on, and our industry and the way we do business could very well change very quickly, or maybe not so quickly, but it's definitely, it's always evolving.
Well, it's going to change.
It always does. It always does.
Our business has changed so much over the last 10 years, and I expect in the next 5 to 10, it's going to change quite a bit more too. So you just got to roll with it and
ever evolving,
navigate it. Very interesting. So we're going to take a little break. We're going to do our social media sidebar. We have a special guest coming on, and because we're going to do our monthly market report.
Exciting. Yes.
And then we're going to talk about marketing, and then we're going to end with some barn burning action items. 2 simple things that any realtor can do to help grow their business. All right, we'll be right back. All right, everyone, social media sidebar time. First off, come on. We're Real VC. You're listening to the podcast. Subscribe, rate it. Juliet, have you rated this 5 stars? I know you listened to the first episode. Did you rate 5 stars yet?
You know what? I don't think I did.
Oh, but Juliet.
I will. I will definitely.
Oh, goodness.
I will definitely
rate it. Did you
rate
subscribe?
Juliet,
you just tapped the thing. It's not hard. That's a requirement for all guests, is that they have to subscribe before I'm letting them on the podcast. Okay.
Next on my agenda.
Listeners, I think please subscribe. That's going to help us keep all the fun times rolling over here. Rate 5 stars. But so social media, that's what we talk about in the social media sidebar. So if you want to follow us, we're upmarket.media across all social media. And that's kind of where we're going to be putting all the podcast stuff. We also, of course, have our regular upmarket media, kind of realtor, real estate marketing stuff on there as well. Juliet, you are big time social media.
Oh yeah. Big time. Everybody knows that I am all about social media.
Yeah.
Not at all. I'm not. I'm horrible.
What? What's your social media? I want everyone to see it.
So I'm on Facebook.
That's it? You're not on Instagram?
I think I'm on Instagram. I don't know.
My God.
I know it's horrible. And you know how many realtors get their business just from social media?
A lot. But that's okay. Go ahead. But can you give out your social media? You can just find yourself on. Just look her up on Facebook.
Yeah, just look me up on Facebook. Okay, Juliet Esquibius. It's the easiest name to spell.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's in the show notes. You can. I'll link to it in the show notes.
Well, it's really something that I need to work on.
Do you? Well, here's what I would say. like, because obviously we believe social media is important, and a lot of our content goes on social media, so we have a vested interest in it being really important.
Right.
But I don't think there is one path, right? I don't think every realtor necessarily has to be on social media. Because I think that the way I look at marketing and the way I look at everything is like, you have to find your leverage point.
Right.
And like for you, if you hate social media, if you don't want to be on it, if it's a drag and it's hard to be authentic and hard to engage with people, then there's not a lot of point in it, right?
Right.
I mean, just even if you just have it like, okay, here's social media. Hey, for more information, go to my website or give me a call or whatever.
Right.
I think that can be effective because there is no cookie cutter one way approach. And so you and clearly you've risen to be president of the thing, and you're such an amazing realtor. So you have clearly had a good career without utilizing social media. So, why do you think that is? And do you actually think social media would help you, or you think you're okay without it?
So, I do use social media, and mostly for business. I have a business page and a personal page. Mostly I just post on my personal page, on Facebook anyway. I do think it helps. I think it keeps you top of mind,
I agree.
with clients and past clients, current clients. And I feel like I do need to do more of it. I think it is an important thing, but you bring up a good point. And I'm actually, I've been a mentor in our office. And I always tell my new agents that, find what works for you. Yeah. Because obviously if you hate doing something, you're not going to do it consistently. And like you said, you're not going to be authentic about it.
Yeah.
So when I do post, I really try to be like authentic, like, oh, I just sold something, or I post something about like,
just bragging.
Yeah, of course. That's what social media is, right?
Yeah.
Or I'll post something, a personal something, which is so funny because, so many times I get like the most likes on some random post, which is so interesting. But I think everybody has to do what feels good to them. I know that like, I don't like to door knock, so I won't go door knocking.
Right.
But there are people who've built their careers on door knocking. So I think for me, I do need to include more social media, especially Instagram. Like, I just feel like I'm just, I've dropped the ball on that, but, and I've actually dabbled in, trying to find like an outside source.
Yeah. Like outsourcing your social media.
Right. Exactly.
Right. And how's that gone?
Didn't really work. It goes back to the authenticity.
Right.
I saw like they would just post for you.
Yes.
And a few times I was like, that doesn't even like look like anything I would post,
Right.
So it didn't really work for me, but I know that there's some, good companies
and
out there.
we have been offering that for our clients, and like, and I think it is a tough nut to crack. And I think that we're kind of still working on that and figuring out that workflow and with our partners in that. So it is tricky because and as we talked about it even last week with Ignacio, it's like authenticity, I think, is really the key.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that you have to do it yourself, but you just have to be aligned with someone who at least understands your voice.
Right.
I mean,
right.
I think that's the biggest thing. All right. One of these days we're going to get a co-host on here who actually utilizes social media a lot. I have someone in mind who's, I think, a social media kind of, we'll get them on here. But I think that's good. Thank you, Julia. We're going to come back and we'll have Sam Benner on with our market report.
Awesome.
It is time for our monthly market report, our first one ever. And my God, come on. We got Sam Benner here, realtor and team leader of the Real Team at eXp Realty. Sam, thank you for being here. Throw down some stats, please.
Okay, well, I think the most telling stats, is the number of deeds recorded. And this is straight from our friends at Chicago Title. Shout out to Steve Logan.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
We have our total transactions for the entire county for the month of April 2023. 527 total deeds recorded. Compared to last April, 2022, 820 transactions recorded.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Quite a few less.
Quite a few less. And so I think what we're alluding to here is that maybe the year prior was not the typical of markets. And we're actually, I think, operating in a much more normal market right now.
Yeah, I think that's the consensus among realtors.
Oh,
Maybe.
it is.
Yeah, I know.
Well, okay. Do you have more stats or is that it?
Well, let's look at a couple things here.
Okay.
So for Ventura County, the median listing price was just under $700,000.
Yeah.
The median price of new listings, $654,000. Price per square foot at $475. The average days on market actually came down a little bit. It's at 97 days on market, which still, again, compared to last year at this time.
Last year was like what, 13 or something?
I think it was like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. So, we're seeing prices decrease by about 18%. So I think we've seen some,
countywide
here.
Countywide.
Now,
And of course there's pockets, right? Where
there's definitely pockets that we can talk about because again, I think we're starting to see the prices definitely have settled.
Right.
But I think that's an interesting stat. And I think also too, seeing also that about 25% of properties were relisted. So you're having things maybe falling off the market, expire, it's coming back on.
Okay.
And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that I think a lot of them have been overpriced and you can't overprice a listing in this market right now. Okay. So looking at Ventura County, now this is for single family homes.
All right.
Okay. The median list price, 1.399 for the entire county, which is pretty wild. The median price of new listings, $929,000. Price per square foot is at $587. Average days on market is just under 80 at 79. And these are price reductions. We saw price reductions on listings. About 19% of listings had price reductions. And looking like it's, again, continuing to be a very strong seller's market.
And what I'm getting from you guys is that everyone is feeling like we are so down. That's how I feel, right? I'm like, oh my God, our business is just like, we're 30% down from last year. But your kind of thought is that this is actually normal. It's quote unquote normal.
I think it's more normal. What happened during the pandemic, very counterintuitive to think that, realtors or anybody would have some of their best years during a pandemic. And things, but like you said, we're just flying off the shelf. And, in a normal market, and we haven't really had a normal market for a long time, but in a normal market, things do sit on the market for a little while. They don't just fly off the shelf. You don't get, 10 or 20 offers in the first weekend. But then again, we don't have the inventory.
Yeah.
So things still do fly off the shelf if they're priced well, priced properly. But I think we're in a more normal, and I say, more normal, but what's normal, right? But it's just, I think that it's just unfortunate that we did have some really, 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 really good years. I think a lot of people had, 2 or 3 really, really good years. And now that it's slowed down a bit, I think what's unfortunate is some of the newer realtors or agents out there, this is new for them because they came in at a time when it was crazy and now it's not crazy anymore. And, you actually have to show your value and market properties and actually work, which I think people weren't really doing for a long time.
Well, I think the challenge, and I think Ignacio was hitting on this in your guys' inaugural episode, was this fact that, there's more people now that I think we're talking about buyers and sellers that are not doing it in an opportunistic way. People are selling their homes because they have to.
Right.
And if, as a realtor, if you don't have a strong database of people that you're communicating with, you're not going to get that call when that divorce happens or that person passes away or that person needs to relocate for their job. That's what's going to be driving the market now. And again, I think that's just more of a normal marketplace for sure.
Right. I think people, were putting their homes on the market in the last several years. A lot of people because they were taking advantage of how much money they could make.
Yeah.
Moving out of state.
Well, no, and I saw a lot of people just like, wow, I don't know. We'll put it up for this crazy price,
and we'll see what happens.
If someone buys it, we'll sell it. But if they try to negotiate, we'll just say no. And continue to live here. And
with interest rates changing, and I still think 6 or 7% still pretty low considering, there historically they're low. But people still do need to buy and sell and, buyers are more cautious. I think sellers are a little bit more hesitant, because if they do sell, where are they going to go? Unless, and a lot of people are moving out of state, unfortunately.
Well, so we have these numbers. I mean, and the past numbers are not a crystal ball, but do we have a sense, what are you seeing as like the trends? I mean, is this going to get worse before it gets better, or are we just going to chug along? I mean, what are you, I got two of the best minds in Ventura County here in real estate. What do you both think is going to happen here?
Sam? I'm going to throw that one to you.
I get to go first?
Yes, you get to go first.
That's why
I've been talking here for like half an hour already.
Because you're a team leader.
Hey now. What I think is going to happen is the summer market will be very telling in terms of what's going to happen. Now, if we see, an uptick in inventory and an uptick in transactions over the summer, I think that will carry us through the rest of the year. I think what really needs to happen is I think we need to get the interest rates back down into like the 5s. And I think that will possibly happen, maybe next year. There's just so much volatility with that right now. We've got to get those people comfortable with moving from that 2-3% interest rate that they kind of married into these last couple of years. And that's going to help move the market, I think, at a much grander pace. Right now, I think what's going to happen is I think prices will continue to settle. But until we really have the inventory to really match, we're still going to see a lot of multiple offers and, some historic prices, going into the rest of the year. But I do think that the summer market will be very telling, because I do think there's going to be some people that are going to have to move no matter what.
Sure. Well, and I think the longer I think it's two things. I think a lot over the last 3 years, I think a ton of people accelerated that, maybe they were planning on selling in 2023 and they sold in 2021 because they wanted to get into the hot market. And, so I think you had so many people actually selling when they weren't necessarily planning to, that it kind of depleted the bench for potential sales in these years. And then you have the interest rates, and then you have all this stuff. So maybe it's just, we need kind of this fallow period to be able to kind of, the aquifer fills up if we're not going to be using it. Right.
Well, Juliet, did you have a Cabbage Patch Kid growing up?
I did. I had twins.
Right. I mean, do you remember
you're old enough to have a Cabbage Patch Kid?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember the insanity that was happening for those, right?
Yeah.
I remember my dad, I think, punched somebody in the mall to get one for my sister.
That sounds like your dad.
Right. He's a very aggressive guy. And so, and then everybody had one. And you don't really need to get, you had twins, but you didn't need 3 Cabbage Patch Kids, right? I mean, hopefully. So I think we just had this surge of Cabbage Patch Kid energy, these last, couple years. And now everybody's like, I think we're good. I think we're cool. Let's just play with them for a while. We're good.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely different than it has been, but I appreciate the opportunity to, get to work hard, and, the deals are still out there.
Right.
And just because they're not as fast and furious,
right.
It's, it's still a good year and things are moving along, and hopefully, inflation's less than it was last year. So we got to keep that, under control, and,
yeah, I mean, the talk right now is there's not going to be more hikes in the interest rates. So I don't know about it coming down, but like, as far as, realtors go in navigating this, and I think you kind of touched on it, that some of these newer agents, I mean, it's probably going to be hard for some newer agents to actually stick and to actually, make this their business and make this their career. I mean, is there, cause what we really want to do with this podcast is give people, strategies and information and all that to help their business. I mean, what do you suggest, the one or two sentence like thing to do to kind of navigate this market as a realtor?
I would say be consistent, whatever you do, and I think you and I touched on this earlier during the social media portion of the podcast. Pick something or a few things that you're good at and you enjoy doing, and just continue to do it and just do it. This business is a marathon, not a sprint. And what I tell my new agents is you just got to keep at it and, do the open houses, go on Caravan, network with your colleagues, and just do it over and over and over again. It's a numbers game, right? Yeah. So the more times you give out your business card or you talk to somebody, the closer you are to your next deal. And I think it's just a matter of, you got to just be consistent. Sam, what do you think?
Well, I think it's time to double down on your sphere of influence. And I know as a newer agent, sometimes you don't have as many contacts. So when I first started, I did open houses like crazy, and I did one every weekend for basically 2 years. And that's how I built my database initially. I would get back to that as much as possible. Those are going to be the people closest to a buying or selling moment, I think, are going to be the people that you're going to meet at open houses. And then I just think doing a course of events, find things that you're mutually passionate about, start a yoga club, start a pickleball club, start a supper club, take people out to dinner and have a good time, and build your database through these kind of more organic methods. I just feel right now people are just really wary on, the cold calling, the hard selling kind of prospecting tools that are out there. It's just never really been a style for me in any way. I think we're looking to build relationship. And I think through those relationships, then we'll start, the business will come. But I do think the day of the part-time real estate agent is over.
Yeah.
I think we're looking for, you have to do this thing full time, all in.
For sure.
Thanks for the hot take.
No problem.
Appreciate it. Sam, that's why we got you in here for the hot takes. Thank you so much. Now get out of here so Juliet and I can continue talking in peace.
It's my pleasure.
All right.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
buddy.
Bye, Sam.
All right. And now it is time for our marketing moment, which, come on, sponsored by Upmarket Media. Come on, we're a one-stop shop for all your listing marketing needs, photo, video, 3D, upmarket.media online. Check us out. You can order there. Call up Chelsea, our producer, who had to just step out, but was here.
She was here.
Wasn't that nice, Julia? Chelsea was here.
It was amazing.
Well, let's talk about marketing. And I kind of one thing that I've been thinking about a little bit is print marketing. Is that a thing? Because it's funny. We produce all these photos, we give them to people, and then I never, I sometimes I don't know what people do with them.
So I really still believe in print marketing.
Oh, you
I
do?
do a lot of it.
Wow.
Well, not a lot, but more than some.
It's your social media.
Right. It's the OG of social media. I do. I'm in Ventura magazine. I was in the Ventura County Star every week for several years.
Yeah.
I just stopped doing that. But I think print is still good. It's a good medium. I think a lot of people still like to touch and feel and hold something and, do a lot.
One of it depends on who your ideal client is, right?
Right.
So if you are, say you had skewed a little older, then probably print is a little better. If you're trying to find, 29-year-olds who happen to have $1.5 million to buy a house, then maybe it's not not the right venue. But I think print can be a little unwieldy because it's expensive, right?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you do, and if you do a full color, something huge and beautiful, it's going to be a little bit more costly than just doing a random postcard or something.
But so and obviously, if you were in the Ventura Star for a long time, but you stopped, obviously, you made a decision that it wasn't worth it anymore, but you were getting would you get a call every week, or would you get, or it's just that, I get one every 6 months and they are actually a buyer and it turns out and I make,
the kind of the thinking behind it for me was I wanted to kind of be everywhere.
Okay.
So that, if I did an open house during the weekend, my open house signs are there. And then on Sunday, somebody picks up the paper and they see my name again. And,
right.
And then, some of my past clients are getting American Lifestyle magazine that I send out every other month. So it was really just a matter of and then they open up Ventura magazine and there I am. So it was really just about kind of hitting.
It's just repetition
over and over again.
It's not they're going to call you from that ad,
exactly.
But it's part of a suite of things that
exactly.
you're doing. So if all you do is put an ad in the Ventura Star, it's probably not going to be as effective as it is if you're hitting it full bore and all that
exactly.
kind of stuff.
And it's so funny because I remember when I was kind of on the fence of where I should spend my marketing dollars. I actually did have a client who called me and he said, "Oh, I just opened the paper and I saw your face and I just had to call you." So whatever works, right?
Right.
But ultimately, I did decide that that I wanted to spend marketing dollars in other places. So
right. Well, can you talk about that a little bit of what you have in mind, or are these the deep secrets? Yeah, trade secrets.
I just am doing different print, which is interesting. And then I did put some money into, the social media thing and working with that potential company and stuff like that. So just trying different things. And, I really believe in being consistent, but at the same time, you do have to evaluate what you're spending your money on. You should evaluate it every, 6 months to a year and look at where your actual money is, where your clients are coming from.
So, and how you do it with your business, do you set aside a set amount of money for marketing?
I do.
And per month or per year? Or?
I do. At the beginning of the year, kind of do like my business plan and figure out exactly how much money I have for marketing and then decide where to spread it out. Obviously, I love the upmarket media photos. So that's always a big, and if I have 20 listings, then I'm going to,
Well, that was just going to be my question. So when you're setting that budget at the beginning of the year, are you factoring in the materials that you make for your listings?
Yes.
Because obviously you're not going to know the number of, all of a sudden you double your listings. Well, you just have to change your budget.
Well, with any budget, a budget's a tool, it's nothing set in stone. So I try to do the best I can looking at historical data of, how many listings I had the year prior and what I'm forecasting for the year.
Right.
Obviously things change. But I think with any listing, I'm definitely going to do the photography the photography and the drone and all that. That what you guys do at Market Media is so important. And I will tell you, I've been using you guys for a very long time. I met Mark Corcoran, your partner.
Yes, he's not on the pod.
Darn, where is he?
Maybe someday. Get the sweet Kiwi talking in there.
So I met him maybe 12 years ago, 12 years ago. And it really did. I used to do my own photos. Yeah. And I would spend so much time, taking the photos and editing them, and they weren't great. Let me tell you.
I know.
But I think, I use you guys for all listings, even if it's like $100,000 condo or mobile home.
It's what we talk about all the time in terms of just making sure your marketing is consistent.
Right.
And that, whatever package you do, and that's what we say. Well, you might just do photos, but then do it on every single listing. Or maybe you do the full marketing package with video and 3D. Well, do that on every single listing because it keeps consistent. Right. We've had it where someone does that full media package that, runs like $1,000 for a listing. And to keep it consistent, they did it on like $120,000 mobile home too. And I was like, hey, I love it.
Right. Well, and it's funny because I've had people actually call me, and say, other agents, they'll call me and they'll be like, I knew that was your listing just because of I do use a stager.
Right.
I use you guys.
That's part of it, right? Staging. I think staging is marketing.
It's huge. I really believe in the staging, and I love the digital staging that you guys do.
Oh yeah, sure.
I think it looks great.
Juliet, you don't have to pimp all our services, but go ahead.
But I also, I have great stagers, and I really, there's something to be said for walking into the home and seeing it, so beautifully done. And
when the home is staged, it makes our job a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure.
No question.
But you guys definitely have changed, my way of doing business, and people actually say, like, I knew it was your listing because it's you always have nice staging and beautiful photography.
Right. Well, and I think we focus so much, and kind of why I wanted to ask about print is I think when we're talking about the media that we provide for our clients, so much of the time we're talking usually about digital stuff because, obviously photos can be printed, it can be the print magazine, but like a 3D or, really, especially a video cannot. And I think video is what we talk about a lot. And it is the number one thing that I think I hear from agents is like, I got to do more video. I got to do more video. And it doesn't have to be, I think property videos. That's our bread and butter. That's the majority of the video we do is just, doing video for someone's new listing. But, they are talking about having that. And this kind of goes into social media of having those first person videos that the agent takes where they're just, talking into the camera or they're, touring a home or just, doing whatever. So I guess you're not really doing that because you're not doing social social media, I presume, unless you are doing video and just sending it directly to your clients,
No.
which people could do.
I when I go to these conferences at different places and I hear about how much, video it's so important and that's what people like now. It's difficult for me. I just,
Right.
haven't gotten into it. So no, I haven't been doing it.
Well,
and
we have a video of this podcast, which is going to be on our YouTube channel, so you're getting your toe in the water. I will actually send you some clips if you want, so you can put it on your.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Because everybody who knows me knows how much I love to be on camera.
Well, perfect. Then they're going to get a kick out of it, right?
Right, exactly.
Juliet, spreading her wings and flying.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So you hear that. When you're at the, but you just ignore it.
Well, it's more of, I have a lot going on prioritizing and it's on the list of things to do. It just hasn't made it up to the top.
But again, it all goes back to you have to find your own path, right? And just because everyone is carping at you about doing video doesn't mean you should do video.
Right.
I mean, it certainly might make certain things easier, but what is the cost of that, right?
Right.
And I think we've had a lot of conversations with agents over the years about, okay, I want to do, in-depth video about every single neighborhood in Camarillo,
right,
or every single neighborhood in Ventura. And they're like, and we price it out and they're like, well, maybe I don't, but there's nothing to stop them from doing it themselves. Right. Other than, and now, we all have like an amazing camera in our pocket. Right. And so we can produce those. It can be hard on the editing side, but you can either do it yourself or there's a lot of places online where, people can edit video for you. But I think having that content and then making sure that if you are doing video content that you are, have your own YouTube channel. Do you have a YouTube channel?
No.
Yeah.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Like I said, anybody who knows me well knows.
Well, but it doesn't have to be videos of you. But we say that most if any agent is doing any kind of video, that you do want to have your own YouTube channel. Right. It shouldn't just go on your Instagram. It shouldn't just go on Facebook because YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world.
That's crazy.
So when you want to make sure that any video content you do, that you're also posting on your own YouTube channel, so that way you can capture, and you want to put some keywords in the description, like if it's about Ventura. Well,
that's great. That's great advice. And I'll put it on my list of things to do.
Right. What number on your list?
Well,
like
it varies from day to day.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like number 37. So just to get back into, I guess, how you make the decisions on where to put those marketing dollars. I mean, it's really kind of ends up being trial and error, I would imagine.
Well, yeah. You do. I go and look at where my clients are coming from. Mm-hmm. I'm very grateful that I have, my past clients, I have a book of past clients and I get a lot of referrals from those past clients.
Right.
But I do evaluate every year. I look back at, okay, where did the business come from? And, try to be more consistent with wherever those are coming from. Right. And because I do have, because I am getting clients from past clients, I do focus on, networking with my past clients and sending them things in the mail and touching them, so to speak, monthly.
Oh, the touches.
The touches, right.
I love the touches.
Because that's where I'm getting a good portion of my business. Right. But I think for everybody, they have to evaluate where they're, where they're spending their money and where, what the return on investment is. So it just varies.
Have you ever done a client appreciation party?
I haven't. Gosh, there's a lot of things I need to do.
Right.
I haven't. I just bought a Duffy boat, electric boat.
What, Duffy?
A Duffy. It's a little electric boat, and I noodle around. It's like a 22-foot boat. And the idea was that I want to take my past clients out and have like little wine and cheese parties. Yeah. So
like what, in the harbor?
And the boat's in the Oxnard Harbor in Seabridge, where I live. So yes. So that was fancy. That's kind of, instead of doing like a whole party where there's, everybody in one room.
Right.
Well, I take that back. I worked many years ago at Helen Yunker Realty, and one of our one of our advertising things there was every year at Christmas time, they would do a Christmas party at Aloha Steakhouse.
Sounds
Shout
nice.
out
Yeah.
to Aloha Steakhouse. And it would be free food and drinks and dessert. And people really appreciated that. But you have all your clients in one room. It's really hard to talk to everybody.
I have heard the feedback I've heard it because we've done things, and we just did one recently actually where we went and did a video of the party for the agent, so then they could have that nice little wrap up that they could send to all their clients. And I've done, over the years, several of these parties where we just go and, just photograph. So then they have that stuff. But I've heard the feedback from the realtors is they have said every single time, oh yeah, way worth it. Every single time they do one of those parties, they get a deal out of it somehow. I don't know how that happens, but they do.
I think a lot of times, just the ask, just asking for the business is pretty profound.
Right.
I think a lot of times we think, oh my gosh, that's too forceful or too aggressive. But I mean, a lot of times if you just, you're talking to somebody and you say, look, I found a really great house and I want to sell it. Do you know anybody who might be interested?
Right.
I mean, honestly, you don't know what's going to come up, something like that. But I think the appreciation parties are great. The client appreciation parties. Again, the more times you're, interacting with your past clients, the better.
Right.
For sure.
All right. Well, I have an ask for you.
Okay.
And it's action items.
Oh.
I want to have an action item from you. And this week, I'm so excited because our action items are sponsored by Choice Home Warranty. Tamara Rossie-Molina, your number one choice for home warranties. You're going to get great service from Tamara. She's so wonderful. You can find them at chwpro.com. Give Tamara a call. She'll hook you up with the Choice Home Warranty.
She's the best, I have to say.
Oh.
She really is. I've been using her for years, and she's really about customer service.
So you're not getting paid for that, though, by the way.
Nope.
So,
no payment.
Yeah.
Nope.
All right. All right. So action.
Yes.
I feel like yours is going to be awesome. So I want it to be last.
Oh.
So mine's pretty great.
Okay.
But I'm going to go first with my action item.
Okay.
Very simple. My action item is go to an in-person networking event with your colleagues. There you go.
There you go.
Who can't do that? And there's so many of them. I think I get emails from this place that there's like 4 networking events every week. And it's like, you can go to the pre-thing at the caravans. I went to, and I don't think it's part of the association, but I went to last week, the first Wednesday thing that Bob does.
Yeah, Bob Davis.
Bob Davis does. That was at Two Trees last week. I've been going to those once a month, and they're great. I mean, there's like 100 people there, and like you pay $5, and
those are
you
great.
get food and
for sure.
I feel like there's so many networking opportunities, and it's one of the easiest and lowest cost things that you can do as a form of marketing. And obviously, you're not marketing to potential clients, but you are networking with your fellow realtors,
which is really, it's really key. And I remember when I first moved here and started working here in Ventura County, I really didn't know anybody. And, I just decided that I was going to get my name out there, and I sent out the reminders for the pitch it meeting, for the pre-caravan meeting. And I got to know people that way because I was, sending out an email every week to remind people about the meeting. And it's just good to network and know your colleagues. And I know you and Ignacio talked about this last week, but I will reiterate that it's huge to know your colleagues.
And that's why we're going to keep talking about it because, and what my business coach always says is that, because he's the one who really prodded us as Upmarket Media to be going to all these networking events. And since we've expanded our business and kind of scaled it, now Mark and I actually have the time, because before it was like, oh, we're out shooting, we can't go to these marketing events. Right. So we would go to the in-person, and what our business advisor always tells us is like, you're not going to go and then just get a bunch of business.
Right.
You got to go 10 times.
Right. And
it's the repetition that is going to get it. And again, it's just the repetition of getting to know your colleagues and, just putting stuff out there. And then, I don't know, just action begets action. Right. And so that's, that's how you can get in the game.
Well, and it's funny that you say that because, some of my newer agents, when we go on caravan, we'll be in the car and they're like, why are we doing this? And, I'm like, well, to see a home that you might not otherwise get to see, or, but the biggest is, meeting up with your colleagues and networking,
Yeah.
on the road and getting to know people in their faces and
Yeah.
putting the names with the faces and things. So, so good tip.
Oh,
Good tip.
Thanks. Okay. Is yours better than
I have
that?
2.
The double action item.
Well, Ignacio had 3. I'm going to keep bringing him up.
Yeah, I know. God, got the legendary Ignacio from our inaugural
Exactly.
episode. Everyone's bringing him up. So go listen to that episode if you haven't.
Yes, please,
Yeah.
because it was really good. I listened to it; it was fabulous. But my 2 action items, I have one on the realtor side,
Okay.
and then the other one as president of our association.
Okay,
So,
all right, perfect.
So the realtor action item, I would say, is to pick up the phone, in the next week and call 5 people that can be past client, somebody you met on the street, and make the ask. Do you say,
What's the ask?
the ask, do you know of anybody who is looking to buy or sell? I'm, your
Trusted real
your
estate.
trusted real estate agent, but ask for the business.
Right.
I'm,
Wow.
looking. I have a goal of selling 10 homes this month or this year, or, whatever your goal is, and just say, this is my goal, and I'm calling people to
Help me achieve my goals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's my first action item.
I think that's great.
My second, because I am, on the
of course,
board,
yeah.
and
You're president of the board.
yes, is to get involved with the association, get to know what the association does. I know for me, for years, all I knew is I paid my dues and
Sure.
my MLS fees, and I had no idea what the association actually does. Look at the different committees and work groups that we have available, and call me, text me, email me if you have questions. But get involved, or at least find out what the association does on the local, state,
Right.
and national level, because our associations do a lot. We part of the reason that we were able to work during the pandemic was because our association dollars, we lobbied for that.
Right.
And we also, some of us were, had to get on unemployment during that time.
Right.
And it was the first time independent contractors, could get unemployment. And that
Right.
was part of, what our state and, national associations did. So my second ask again is to get involved in your association, whatever association that is, and find out what we do.
All right.
So those are my 2 action items.
The double action
the
items.
double
All right,
whammy.
all right. Next week we're going to. Man, I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to see who's gonna step into these co-host shoes, because you did an amazing job. Thank you so much, Juliet. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you coming on to the podcast. So don't forget, rate, review, and subscribe.
I'm going to go do that right now.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me. It was
Of
fun.
course. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Real VC is a production of Upmarket Studios. This episode was produced by Chelsea Froelich and edited by Bethany Diedrich. We'll be back shortly with a brand new episode, but in the meantime, we hope that all your transactions will be smooth. Thank you for everything.